This then is the first lesson of Booklet 4, looking at the establishment of the Nazi totalitarian dictatorship. So around the diagram in your book, give at least 5 things that you would think needed to be done if you wish to create a total dictatorship where you had total totalitarian control over everybody. What would you need to do? Hitler had complete control of Germany after Hindenburg's death in 1934. Internal threats had been removed with the elimination of the SA, and external threats had been dealt with earlier in 1933 with the Reichstag fire, the Emergency Decree and the Enabling Act. Hitler now set about establishing a totalitarian dictatorship where he had control over everything and everyone. To quote Hugh Trevor Roper, his intention was to create a society from which even the imagination had no means of escape. So then, the aims for the lesson, the objectives are to start having an idea how the Nazi dictatorship was run, and possibly how that style of government compares and contrasts with 21st century Britain. We'll also start to speculate as to how far Hitler was in control of Germany, and start looking at how he dealt with the enemies of the state, or as he thought they were. Your first task will be to read the statements and place them into the correct box, be it a description of the role of the leader, the role of the police, and the role of communication in either Nazi Germany or modern Britain. Please place those statements, having read them, into what you think is the appropriate box. Now, in order to be an effective totalitarian dictator, 3 features have to be established. Firstly, you need a dictator who is prepared to dictate. Secondly, you need a police force in order to implement the will of the dictator, a police force that rule through fear. We often refer to this as a police state. Thirdly, you need to control what people see and what people hear. You therefore need to control the media. In this first task that you have in front of you now, you're going to look at the type of person who would be a dictator, so the nature of dictatorship itself. Look at the picture of Hitler, and I'd like you to be able to identify the differences between the facts and the inferences that you can draw from this particular picture. Next, we need to consider the reality. Is it what we saw in the picture previously of Hitler leading Germany? Or is this description by Fritz Weidemann, one of Hitler's personal assistants, contradictory? I sometimes secure decisions from him, even ones about important matters, without his ever asking to see the relevant files. He took the view that many things sorted themselves out on their own if one did not interfere. But the question was, how did they sort themselves out? The party leaders found it easier to get something out of him. If they belonged to the top ranks, they could always come to lunch. During coffee, they quickly explained their problem to him, and normally they got the decision they wanted. He let people tell him things he wanted to hear, everything else he rejected. Hitler refused to let himself be informed. How can one tell someone the truth who immediately gets angry when the facts do not suit? Perhaps that may be in part of his strength. Now, using that information, what does it tell us about how Germany was run by Hitler? And follow that up with the idea then, do you believe, as the propaganda would suggest, as the previous picture of Hitler would suggest, that he was a strong leader? Or was he a weak leader? Or possibly was he both? Your next task will be to identify the people who didn't fit into Hitler's dictatorship. Using the reading materials that you have been provided with, your task then is to look at the various different groups in Germany that found themselves in concentration camps. The Jews, politicals, the work-shy, the religious conscientious objectors, homosexuals, and professional criminals. What I want you to do from the descriptions that you have been given is to consider why Hitler regarded them as a threat and why they needed to be jailed.